Spring rolls are one of the most iconic Vietnamese dishes, and there's so many unique variations. Each spring roll is always packed full of fresh herbs and veggies, noodles, and really any kind of protein option you can think of. Now, one of my favorites is Ca Hoi Nuong Cuon, or baked salmon spring rolls. It's incredibly easy to put together. It just needs a little bit of prep work and a very minimal amount of actual cooking, and it's a great way to both entertain and feed your friends and family. So do me a favor and make sure you like, comment, share, and save this video. Alright, y'all, remember to wash your hands. Now the first thing we'll do is cook our noodles, and typically spring rolls use your standard rice vermicelli noodles, but in my household we actually prefer bun hoi, or fine woven vermicelli noodles. They come dried in a pack just like this, and they're super easy to cook. So to a pot of boiling salted water, I'm gonna drop in the noodles and cook them for just about 60 seconds. Then we'll drain and rinse the noodles with cold tap water, and then I'm gonna let the noodles sit in the cold water for a couple of minutes while I quickly make my scallion oil. So we'll chop up some green onions, separating the whites from the greens. And for this oil, we just need the green part, so you can save the whites for a different recipe. Then to a hot pan, I'll add in about 3 to 4 tablespoons of neutral oil and let that heat up for a minute. We'll add in our chopped green onions and then season lightly with a pinch of salt and some MSG. And that's pretty much it. Now make sure you drain the water from your bun hoi, and then I'm gonna layer them in a container or plate, and in between each layer, we'll brush over some of our scallion oil. Now this is going to help the noodles from sticking to each other, but will also give us some extra flavor. And if you like this recipe, and you wanna learn how to make more of your favorite Vietnamese and Asian dishes, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay up to date on all my latest posts. When we're done layering our bun hoi, this is going in the fridge to vibe out while we finish up the rest of our prep. So for these spring rolls, you can use any kind of veggies you like, including lettuce, pickled veggies, cucumbers, cilantro, mint, basil, and the list really goes on and on. But first, we'll make our pickled veggies. Anyways, we'll start by peeling our carrots and radish. Once our veg is peeled, we'll cut them into slices and then into matchstick pieces. Then we'll toss our veg with some kosher salt to help draw out some of the moisture and keep them crunchy. And this will only take about 10 to 15 minutes. Then our pickling liquid is equal parts sugar, vinegar, and water. We'll cook that gently on medium-low heat, just enough to let the sugar fully dissolve. Then we'll let the pickling liquid cool down to room temperature before pouring it over the veg. Now once our carrots and daikon are pliable like this, they're good to go, so we'll give them a quick rinse. We'll put our veg into a container, pour over our pickling liquid, and let that vibe out in the fridge. Then I have some cucumbers, and I'm just gonna cut the ends off, and then in half lengthwise, and then finally into spears. And for the rest of my veggies, I'm just gonna give them a thorough rinse, making sure that they're dry before we plate. And you can't forget to pay the cucumber tax. And once we have that done, I'm gonna make an incredible sauce called mắm nêm, or fermented fish sauce dipping sauce. And this one is real funky, but it's honestly so good. First, to a sauce pot on medium heat, we'll add in a splash of oil. We'll saute some minced garlic for a minute or until fragrant. Then I have a can of crushed pineapples, and we'll add in about 6 ounces of it. And I'm just using canned pineapples for convenience, but fresh is certainly better. We'll let those sugars start to caramelize in the pot for a couple of minutes. And then this is fish sauce's funky cousin, which interestingly is also just called mắm nêm in Vietnamese, and it's made with just anchovies, salt, and water. Now we'll pour in about 2 tablespoons of our mắm nêm, and make sure your windows are open because your whole house is gonna smell as you're cooking this. Now traditionally, mắm nêm is made with kumquats, but that's not as accessible for me, so today we'll use an orange and lime to mimic its flavor profile instead. We'll need the juice of half the orange and the whole lime. We'll pour that into the pot, and all the fruit's sweetness and acidity will help balance out this sauce. To the pot, we'll pour in about a 1/4 cup of water to thin out our sauce and get it to a looser consistency. Then I have a couple of Thai chilies that I'll finely chop up, and we'll add that to the pot for a little bit of heat. And lastly, we'll finish that off with a couple tablespoons of sugar to make sure that our sauce is well rounded. We'll give that a good mix, making sure that everything is fully incorporated. And with any of my recipes, I always encourage you to season to taste and adjust the recipe to your own preferences. If you like it sweeter, you can add more pineapple. If you like it more sour, add more lime. And if you want more funk, add more of that fermented fish sauce. Think of this recipe as a foundation and build it to your own liking. And that's how you make my version of mắm nêm. With all that done, it's finally time to make our salmon. So to a piece of foil or parchment paper, and make sure you spray some oil down so that it doesn't stick. We're laying the salmon skin side down, patting that dry with a paper towel, and then we're seasoning this with a pinch of salt, black pepper, MSG, garlic powder, and a splash of oil. Go ahead and rub those seasonings in, and then traditionally the salmon would be baked in the oven, but we're just gonna use the air fryer today for convenience. Now we're cooking this at 375 for 7 to 10 minutes, and then I'll broil it at 450 for another minute, or until the salmon is cooked through and flaky. And if you're using an oven, you can bake this at 425 for about 15 to 18 minutes, and then broiling on high for another minute or 2. And once our salmon is cooked through, it's time to plate. So to a big plate or platter, we'll start with some of our green leaf lettuce. Then I'm gonna take some of our bánh hoi and just roll those up and place that onto our plate. Then we'll drop in our cucumber spears. We'll add our baked salmon right on top. Add in some of our pickled veggies. And then I'll sneak in some cilantro and mint. And then lastly, I'll garnish the salmon with some fried shallots and crushed peanuts. And some more of our scallion oil right on top of the salmon and noodles. We'll serve this with a little dipping bowl of our mắm nêm, and we'll serve it just like that and have everyone roll up their own spring rolls. And I'll quickly show you how I do that too. So first we'll dunk our spring roll wrappers in cold water, as this will give us more time to work with the wrappers before they fall apart, plus it'll give us a chewier texture. Then I'm gonna put down a piece of lettuce towards one end of the rice paper, our bánh hoi and cucumbers right on top of the lettuce, and then I'm gonna put the salmon towards the center and away from everything else so that when we roll it up, you can see all of that salmon in the spring roll. We'll add in the rest of our herbs and pickled veggies. We'll start to roll that up nice and tight, and once you get over the salmon, we'll fold in the 2 sides and then finish rolling that up. And just like that, you've made Ca Hoi Nuong Cuon at home. As always, the recipe and measurements are on my blog at feedthepudge.com. And if you've made it this far, let me know in the comment section, what's your favorite kind of spring roll? Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.